The history of English drama dates from the 11th century. The earliest dramatic representation in England is believed to have been the performance of a Latin play in honor of Saint Catherine at Dunstable in 1110. By the time of the Roman conquest in 1066, a form of religious drama that originated from the rich symbolic ceremonial of the church had already established itself in France, and as a matter of course it soon found its way into England. The purpose of this drama was directly didactic, or we can say instructional. Um, it was the work of priests who used it as a means of conveying the truths of their religion to the illiterate masses. So, to begin with, the church had this drama completely under control. Performances were given inside the church buildings, the priests were the actors, and Latin was the language used. This form of drama was known as the miracle or the mystery play. The material for the mystery plays was drawn from the Bible, and these plays expanded the mysteries connected with the religion. Miracles consisted of the stories of saints in whose honor they were enacted. As the mystery or miracle plays increased in popularity and on great occasions, larger crowds came to witness the performances. It became necessary to remove the stage from the interior of the building to the porch. Later, it was taken from the porch into the churchyard, and finally from the church premises to the village green or the city street. Gradually, common people began to take part in the performances, and they soon superseded the priest entirely, and also the vernacular tongue, first French and then English, took the place of Latin. This religious drama in England reached its height in the 14th century, from which time onwards, at the festival of Corpus Christi in early summer, miracle plays were represented in nearly all larger English towns in great connected sequences or cycles. These Corpus Christi plays were also known as collective mysteries, and they showed the whole story of the fall of man and of man's redemption. Their performances were arranged by the trading guilds of different towns. Guilds are the groups. Four of these cycles have come down to us. The first is the Chester cycle of 25 plays, the Coventry cycle of 42 plays, the Wakefield cycle of 31 plays, the New York cycle of 48 plays. Each of these begins with the creation of the world and the fall of man, and after dealing with such prophetic themes like the flood, the sacrifice of Isaac, the exodus from Egypt, exodus, the departure, goes on to present the last scenes in the life of Christ, the crucifixion, the resurrection, and the ascension, and then closes with the last judgment. If we see the literary quality, these plays are of course crude, but here and there they strike the note of pathos and the note of tragedy, while the occasional introduction of a comic element shows even more clearly the growth of a dramatic sense. These religious performances lasted well into the 16th century, and Shakespeare also, it is believed that Shakespeare also must have witnessed one at least of those during his boyhood at Coventry. The next stage in the history of English drama is the morality play. This, like the miracle play, was didactic in purpose, but its characters, instead of being taken from the Bible or from the legends of saints, were personified abstractions. All kinds of mental and moral qualities appeared on the stage as characters in this kind of play. And what were those characters? Patience, perseverance, free will, the five senses, the seven deadly sins, good and bad angels, and so on. Among such personification, there was generally a place for the devil, who had held a prominent position in the miracle plays. A later introduction of much importance was the so-called Vice. Vice was also one of the characters who was a humorous personification of evil taken on this comic side. So Vice as a character was the recognized fun maker of the piece. So we see that this character often scored tremendous popular success by jumping on the devil's back, sticking thorns into him, beating him with a stick, and making him roar with pain. So he's especially interesting as the direct forerunner of the clown of the Elizabethan stage.